This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Black Rose Industries Limited and SKP Securities, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this Q3 FY22 financial results webinar of Black Rose. We have with us Mr. Anup Jatia, Executive Director, along with Mr. Amrish Daga, Joint CFO and Head Investor Relations. A reminder, all participant lines are in mute and this virtual meeting is being recorded for compliance reasons. We'll have the opening remarks from Mr. Jatia, followed by a Q&A session. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Jatia.
Thank you, Naveen. Welcome everybody to the Q3 webinar for Black Rose. I hope everybody has been doing well and that you and your families have also been well during the third wave. Now with things improving, things opening up, I believe people's lives are also getting back to normal as we see our business as well. So today we have prepared a presentation for all of you. I would like to ask Mr. Daga to begin the presentation. Mr. Daga has recently at the last board meeting of the company been elevated to joint CFO of the company and also as the investor relations officer of the company. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupji, and a very warm welcome to one and all who has taken time out to join us for this earnings webinar. I'll quickly start the presentation now. Just wanted to confirm, I hope the screen is visible, the presentation screen.
Yes, Amrish, it's clear.
Okay. So we start off with a brief disclaimer. There are certain statements which will be forward-looking in this based on our current understanding of the situation and the business scenario. However, these come with certain risks and uncertainties which should be kept in mind while considering these statements. Moving on to the business presence of Black Rose, mainly for first-time joinees, just to give a brief update about our business. So Black Rose is into two main business segments: the chemical distribution business, where we are importers and distributors of a wide range of specialty and performance chemicals from leading principals of ours based mostly out of Japan, as well as from Germany, China and Thailand. Regarding the chemical manufacturing business, which is the second business, we started our acrylamide liquid manufacturing unit in Jagaria in the Gujarat state in 2013 with an initial capacity of 10,000 metric tons per annum. The current capacity for this plant is 32,000 metric tons, out of which 20,000 tons are earmarked for merchant sales and the balance 12,000 is for captive consumption. Going forward, we have added the polyacrylamide liquid as the first downstream product. The polyacrylamide liquid plant has an installed capacity of 40,000 metric tons per annum, and currently it caters mainly to the binder market in Morbi, to the tiles market in Morbi, where we supply these binders. Further, the next product in line is the acrylamide solid. The plant is already set up and ready for starting manufacturing. However, we are waiting certain clearances from the government agencies, which was held up due to the third wave of the pandemic. We are hopeful that very soon we will be able to start production in our 3,600 metric tons per annum capacity plant. The next product which we have started manufacturing is N-methylol acrylamide with a plant capacity of 2,000 metric tons per annum. This For this, the product has already been sent. Some batches have been sent to our customers, and we are awaiting feedbacks based on which the further commissioning will happen. The next product which we are already working on is the polyacrylamide solid plant. We are going to set up a 10,000 metric tons per annum plant. Currently, all our R&D efforts are now focused on the polyacrylamide solid, and we hope to start the construction and the other make progress in this by the end of this quarter and in the next financial year. BR Chemicals Limited is our 100% subsidiary based in Japan and is engaged in the local distribution as well as the export of chemicals. Now we move to the financial results, the profit and loss account. These were already shared with one and all last week. Just to give a few key highlights, we've already crossed our total revenue from operations for the entire previous year within 3 quarters of this financial year. The revenue from operations for this quarter was at 924 million, which is up 24% from the corresponding quarter of financial year 21. However, there is a little bit of a slowdown due to the COVID third wave at the end of this quarter, which resulted in a marginal fall of 9% in total revenue compared to the revenue for the previous quarter. The same will be explained in detail in the future slides. The profitability, however, increased during this quarter, up 4% from the previous quarter, and the PAT stood at 92.37 million rupees. We see that there is a growth in the EBITDA margin as is depicted in the bar graph below, which is up by over 2%, and we have also got a very healthy EPS of 1.81 for this quarter. Moving on to the highlights of the balance sheet and how the sources of funds and the application thereof. We have generated about 19 crore rupees from operations during this quarter, and the same has mainly been utilized in our capital investments as well as in the financial instruments. We are now a zero debt company practically, which is depicted in our very low debt equity ratio of 0.02 at the end of this quarter. And despite the increase in the base, we see that the return on equity and capital employed is very healthy and consistent from the previous quarter. Now moving on to the total revenue and EBITDA graph for the standalone financials. We see that there has been a dip in sales. However, the EBITDA is much healthier. This is due to the change in the product mix as well as better realization overall in both the manufacturing as well as the distribution business. The exports continue to be hampered this time due to the high freight costs which have rolled over to this quarter as well as due to some reduction in the overseas demand for product. Now, despite the sale in the manufacturing products being increased, the overall revenue has actually dipped because of lower sales of certain products such as metacresol and isothalic acid, which pulled down the distribution business revenue for this quarter. Now, just to give an idea of the mix between the revenue for manufacturing and distribution. So the current quarter saw about 34% revenue generated from the manufacturing business, whereas 65% came from the distribution side. This is a healthier mix compared to the previous quarter, and as more products get added during the upcoming quarters, we will see that this balance will improve further, and we hope to add more volumes to the manufacturing as well as the distribution business. In terms of the distribution between export and local sales, the exports were hampered, as we mentioned earlier, due to the reduced demand as well as the high freight costs. The overall export for the company as a whole stood at 7% of the total sales, whereas the export for the manufacturing, the acrylamide business, was at about 10% of the total revenue. Quickly moving on to the highlights of the distribution segment, we see that overall the margin has increased in the distribution business as the sale of the lower cost items such as metacresol reduced and the product mix changed accordingly. The sales dipped by about 21% during the course of this quarter, hampered especially in the month of December by the third wave of the pandemic, which created a slowdown in the markets. The demand for resorcinol, one of our key distribution products, continues to be hampered by the oversupply from small manufacturers in China. And also that has reduced the overall margins in that product, which is reflected in the overall distribution EBITDA and revenue figures. Going forward, we anticipate that the new products which have been recently added, namely hexamine and pentyl glycol, neopentyl glycol, are going to add both to our top line as well as increase our profitability. Regarding the manufacturing financials, we see that overall there is a healthy increase in the total revenue, mainly driven by improved realization as well as improved capacity utilization in both the products we currently manufacture, acrylamide liquid as well as polyacrylamide liquids. The capacity utilization for acrylamide liquid stood at 60% for the previous quarter, and that for polyacrylamide liquid stood at 33%. We have seen a big surge in the sales of polyacrylamide liquids, and we've added many new customers with our product getting more and more accepted through the Morbi market. We have also been able to get new customers added because of certain disruptions in supply from one of the principal manufacturers, principal competitor. The acrylamide solids and the NMA are going to add further volumes in our manufacturing business in the current quarter. Moving on, we have received several questions earlier regarding how the prices for raw material determine our pricing and realization in the acrylamide or our manufacturing products. So we've added this new slide this time, which shows that the prices of acrylonitrile, which is the key raw material in manufacture of acrylamide, actually peaked early in the year, at the start of the year in April, and then it has fallen consistently. Last quarter, the prices have remained steady. However, we have been able to get better realization of our product during this period where the prices were falling. The current quarter, again, the prices have fallen further. However, we expect to get good realization and improve our profitability in this product segment. Moving on to the outlook for the current quarter, I would like to pass on to Anup ji to brief us about the outlook for this quarter.
Thank you, Ambrish. So the outlook for the current quarter, let's start with chemical distribution. In the chemical distribution, as Ambrish has mentioned, the overall demand was slightly sluggish during the end of December, and in fact going on till most of January, and largely due to the effect of the third wave. Now we have started seeing most of the sectors now starting to pick up, and demand has also started to pick up. At the same time, a lot of products which were available during the end of December and during January in India at prices which were lower than international market prices for these products have now started to, those prices have now started to come up and have now started to match or exceed international price levels. So which signifies that the domestic market is picking up again, and there are also shortages which have come up due to people who have already stocked up with the lower price materials earlier, and new imports have not come in during this period. So we see the chemical distribution business to do reasonably well in this quarter, provided the supplies of our products into India from overseas are not too much hampered because of the supply chain issues and the delays, freight delays, shipping delays. On the acrylamide liquid side, domestic demand has been quite stable this quarter so far. There is a little bit of a reduction in the acrylamide demand for the ceramic tile sector due to a lot of shutdowns which have happened in that area because of high gas prices and low offtake of the tiles themselves. But the overall demand has been stable. We have been able to increase our market share in the last quarter, and that has helped us maintain our business quite well in this in the acrylamide sector. The falling raw material prices, like what Ambrish just mentioned, raw material prices have fallen. The chart mentioned a December pricing of around $2,100 in the chart that Ambrish just shared. Current prices of acrylonitrile, which is our key raw material, are at $1,700 range. So there has been a further crash in the last 1 month, again largely due to oversupply in China. Some new plants of acrylonitrile have come up. So because of this, there is an oversupply in China, which is causing prices of acrylonitrile to fall. We have been able to maintain largely our prices of the finished product of acrylamide. So we do expect to see better margins accordingly. And also we are expecting exports to pick up during the end of this quarter because of maybe some improved demand in some of our traditional markets where the freight costs have not hampered our business. A lot of the areas where acrylamide production already exists in their own countries do not import when freight costs are very high, but other markets are again picking up, and again export demand is coming. On the polyacrylamide liquid side, again, as Ambrish has mentioned, there have been supply chain issues at the side of our largest competitor in that business, and that allowed us to gain a strong foothold in the last quarter by adding a lot of new prestigious clients into our basket. This continues, and we are expecting our market share in Morbi to increase further. Of course, like I said, also that the overall demand has reduced in Morbi due to the shutdowns, but we expect all of these shutdown and these issues to be resolved during the month of February, And March, we're expecting large and strong volumes of polyacrylamide sales. Furthermore, the other key material, when we talk about acrylamide, the key raw material is acrylonitrile. But in the case of polyacrylamides, polyacrylamide liquids, there are two key raw materials. One is, of course, acrylamide, and the other is acrylic acid, and one more is caustic soda, caustic. So prices of caustic, as you know, had gone up in the last quarter. They had reduced temporarily, but again have started going up. So, but the consumption of caustic is less compared to the consumption of acrylic acid. And acrylic acid prices have fortunately been showing a decline in this last 2 months. So we're expecting our raw material prices to fall, raw material costs to fall. We have increased prices in the last quarter by around 11%. So we do have again a healthy margin position in the polyacrylamide liquid business as well. Thank you. And this is the end of our presentation. I'll now like to hand it over back to Mr. Naveen.
Thank you, Anupji. Participants, should you wish to ask a question, request you to please raise your hand. We'll unmute you and take your question. A request to the participants, kindly introduce yourself along with the name of the company you represent while asking the question. The first question is from Ankit Babel. Ankit, please go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Anupji and team, and thanks for giving me this opportunity. Sir, a few questions. Now, acrylamide powder, I mean, 85 crore revenue potential you mentioned, and NMA, again, a 35 crore revenue potential. So you have added around 120 crores in your capacities from just these two products. Now, what I need to understand is how much ramp up do you expect from these two products in the coming financial year, that is FY23? What kind of revenues you are expecting from these two products?
Okay. Thank you, Ankit. So regarding the acrylamide powder, as Amrish mentioned, the plant is basically ready. We're just awaiting for the clearances, and demand is still extremely strong for this product. So we are expecting to start manufacturing at full capacity as soon as we are able to get the clearances. So, of course, depending on the price fluctuations of the finished product, the 85 crore figure may change depending on the pricing that changes. But we are expecting to run at full capacity as soon as the plant starts. Acrylamide powder, as you know, we have mentioned it in our previous webinar as well, is only made in China. And we would be the only company outside of China to manufacture acrylamide powder. So the international interest is quite strong for us to start manufacturing this product. As on the other question on NMA, NMA is again a specialty monomer, similar to how acrylamide is a specialty monomer, but NMA has more specific end uses. So with the NMA business, we have already started a commercial batch. We have sent out the samples to various companies, paint companies, textile companies, adhesive companies. A lot of these companies are currently testing our product. And as soon as we receive the approvals from them, from the customer side, we will start sales of this product. Now, as I said, it is a specialty, so it may take a little bit of time to reach the full capacity. But we will be able to have better numbers or better forecasts only maybe in the next quarter. Once the approvals come through and we start sales, we'll be able to give you better numbers.
But ballpark, assuming that the prices remains same, I mean, we cannot take a call on the prices. So approximately 100 crores revenue can come from these two products in the next fiscal year.
I would expect it, yes. Especially from the acrylamide powder, because that is a product which is well known and has a very large demand globally. So there should at least from the acrylamide powder, we should see a larger share coming in the next financial year. Yes.
And so how are margins at EBITDA level in these products? Any ballpark range?
Generally, they are in they're between 20 to 30% EBITDA margins are what you would normally expect for a product like this. Acrylamide powder is a specialty. It's a specialty commodity, you can say. So there will be price competition from China in the international market. We will have to see what kind of pricing we are able to achieve with that. But yes, it does have about a 20 to 30% EBITDA margin in general.
Okay. Oh, so that's great. So additional 25 to 30 crores EBITDA can come from just these two products next financially. Okay. And so my second question is on your PEM solid project. Now I understand it's at a R&D stage, but do you expect that in FY23 you'll start the construction and also complete the project in the financial year 23 and expecting production to start from next financial year? 24, FY24?
No, we don't expect the construction to complete in FY23. We do expect construction to begin in FY23. It will take 1 year for the construction to be complete once we begin. We are expecting to see the numbers of polyacrylamide solid coming from FY24.
Okay, and how profitable is that product, because it's a big project for you?
It is, as of today's estimations, it is a profitable business.
No, again, the same 20-30% range of profitability at EBITDA level in that product also?
We are expecting a higher profitability in that sector.
Okay. And so lastly, just one request, if on a quarterly basis, if you can, give the breakup of your distribution and manufacturing profitability also. You have started giving on the revenue side, but if you can just give the margins in, distribution business and manufacturing business, as it will help us to, analyze it in more detail.
Okay. We will start doing that from the next quarter.
Okay. That's helpful, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankit. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Jain. Rajesh, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for giving the opportunity. I have few questions. So one is, who are all the current manufacturers of this NMA in the global as well as the domestic market? And what was the capex that we spent for this 2,000 metric ton per annum capacity? And was this technology developed in-house?
Okay. Thank you, Rajesh. So with respect to NMA, the two main producers of NMA globally, one is a company called as Allnex. Allnex has plants in various parts of the world. In India, the majority of NMA is being imported from Allnex in Belgium. The other company which manufactures NMA globally is a company known as SNF. SNF is also a producer of acrylamide and polyacrylamide, similar to us, of course, much larger than us. But yes, they also do produce NMA. So in India, there is nobody producing NMA on a commercial basis for supply the way we are. Any commercial supply of NMA is generally done through the imported Allnex material right now. So we would be the only company in India manufacturing NMA for commercial supply. There are companies which produce NMA for their own captive use in-house, but those NMAs are generally unstable. And because of the instability in the NMA that they produce in-house, they do face difficulties in their usage. The NMA we have produced is a highly stable NMA. It is produced with our own technology in-house in our R&D lab, and our NMA is stable, and this is what is the main advantage of our product. And we will be competing directly in the Indian market with the product which is currently coming in from Belgium.
Sir, one was the capex you left out, and if you could tell what is the current domestic demand, sir?
Yeah. So the current domestic demand is about 600 metric tons per annum. If we look at the imported demand, that is around 600 metric tons. There is, of course, a larger domestic demand, which like I said, a lot of people are producing in-house for immediate consumption. But many of these companies are also currently looking at shifting to our product because it allows them to have more flexibility in their operations. So the domestic demand would be closer to, I would say, 1,500 tons. And the imported demand is currently out of that around 600 tons. The capex on this, basically the equipment is similar to some of our other equipment already installed for other projects. So the capex on this has been very negligible. There is not really much capex that has taken place to produce NMA because we can use a lot of the equipment which is already on site for our other projects.
Okay, that is very helpful, sir. Sir, second is any decision you have taken on the polycarboxylate, like what capacity, the capex, and the potential of the product? Some details.
Sorry, your voice is cracking.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry,
can you hear me now?
Can you repeat, please?
Any decision has been taken about polycarboxylate?
Yes,
Hello?
Yeah, Rajesh, please go ahead. Repeat your question, please.
Any decision has been taken about polycarboxylate, like what capacity we want to put up, the capex requirement, and what is the potential for that product?
Yes. So polycarboxylates are the range of polycarboxylates that we are focusing on right now are known also as acrylic dispersants. And this is a product which goes hand in hand together with the binder business that we have in Morbi right now with the ceramic tile industry. So companies who are buying our ceramic binder, the polyacrylamide liquid, the ceramic binder, also purchase acrylic dispersants from other companies. So it is a request from their side that we also start manufacturing this product. Fortunately, this product is already a part of our environmental clearance, which has been taken in the very beginning. So the capex also for this is actually not very high. Again, a lot of the equipment which we already have on site for our other products will suffice for manufacturing this product as well. So the capex involved will be again hardly anything, if any.
Okay. And the potential, sir, is it similar to what we have for polyacrylamide liquid?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, very nice. This technology is also
similar potential, yes.
Similar potential. Okay. So we have this technology which is again in-house.
Yes, it is 100% in-house.
And I hope it is not a performance chemical because otherwise it takes time for to get the approvals from the customers to get started off.
So it is very much a performance chemical. It does require approvals. These are dispersants which are added to the ceramic tile slurries, which are used to make the tiles. So these are performance chemicals, and that's why also the margins are generally higher in these performance products. So performance products are definitely, this is definitely a performance product, and that's why it requires R&D to make sure that we are making a product which is suitable for our clients.
That means, does it takes another 3 to 6 months to get the approval from the customers? Hello?
Your voice is cracking, and I'm not able to.
Is it okay now?
Is it connection? Yes, yes. I think your question is the gestation period is what you want to know.
No, not only what I was asking is, does it take 3 to 6 months? And who are the competitors?
Yeah, the competitors are again similar to the competitors in the ceramic binder industry.
Okay.
SNF would be the largest competitor. The time, yes, it can take anywhere between 1 to 3 months, depending on the client to approve. But we have our team in Morbi. We have a whole full-fledged technical staff and people there. So they are well equipped to get these tests carried out and results expedited. So that's not an issue for us at all.
Sir, is this capex is already completed? And if it is, how much is the capacity you have planned?
Like I said, I cannot get into too much details about the technology because, but the equipment required to manufacture the polycarboxylates is similar to the equipment which we already have on site. So the capex is already done for the polycarboxylates. There may be additional capex required if we want to increase capacities in that product. But as of today, we do not need to do any additional capex to launch the product into the market.
Okay, that is very helpful, sir. Sir, my last question is, after the completion of all these capex, including the polycarboxylate and then you have polyacrylamide solid, everything, will we have some more space left at Jagaria?
Once we set up the solid plant, then the space will be quite full in terms of floor space. But until then, yes, we do have space. And acrylamide expansion and these expansions do not require too much space because fortunately the key raw material is produced in-house. So for the polyacrylamides, the key material is produced in-house. So it's not a challenge right now for us. We can still grow our acrylamide business. We can grow our acrylamide solid, our polycarboxylates, our polyacrylamide liquid, as well as polyacrylamide solid. We can still grow it substantially without having to move from this site.
Sir, I think you had mentioned.
Rakesh,
yeah.
If I can just intervene, please. There are a few more people with questions. Once they are done, we can come back to you.
No problem. No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from Nitya Shah. Nitya, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I had a question regarding the net profit to operating cash flow conversion. So earlier on, you all had a good conversion rate of over 75 to 80%, but I noticed in the last year that against the net profit of 27 crores, you'll have managed to generate just 10 crores worth of operating cash flows. So is there an issue in the working capital cycle, and do you see the cycle improving in the future so that the cash flow generation is far superior? Thanks.
Ambrish, you want to get that?
So what I would say is, the cash flow from operations is pretty steady. In fact, we have a pretty healthy and sound liquidity and cash flow situation. What happens is, as these projects are coming up and the investment on capex is being done through internal accruals. So you see that the ratios tend to differ from period to period. On an average, I feel the cash flow is going to be pretty decent as the additional revenue creeps in. So I don't see any issue in this.
I think just to add one more thing, when you look at these cash flow statements, naturally they have we look at it on a particular date, and sometimes we have higher inventories that we have bought for either our distribution product or either our manufacturing raw materials. So all of these things will affect the numbers on that date. But in terms of cash flow, we are actually quite. Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of cash flow, otherwise we have not really faced any issues as of now. We even if you look at our finance that we take, the bank borrowings, largely these bank borrowings are in the form of LC limits, because we do not really require much cash credit facilities for running our business. And so that's why you will see also our financial costs have been coming down from quarter to quarter.
Right, that really helps. Thank you.
Thanks, Nitya. We have a question from Dhaval Shah. Dhaval, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you, Anup bhai. Thank you so much for giving us the clear presentation, and congratulations on the result. I only had two macro questions. One is when you're talking to your suppliers, your clients globally, what kind of sense are you getting now? Do you see the bottlenecks reducing for them? Do you foresight incremental demands coming in one quarter or second half of the year? That is the first question. And second question is in terms of new chemicals which you guys are looking at in terms of either the R&Ds or looking at new chemicals for the future enhancement of revenues, what kind of capex would you have in mind for the next 1 year if you were to do that?
Okay, thank you, Dhaval. So your first question regarding the conversations we are having with some of our clients overseas. What we are seeing overseas is that people are now finally kind of putting COVID behind them, and now starting to focus again on growth. And we are expecting in the coming year that demand from some of these customers is going to increase. We also have a lot of import business, as you know. And so that is another very key discussion and key communication we have with our overseas principals. And what we are seeing from these overseas principals is that the interest to create India as a key market for them has been increasing. They have seen the very severe lockdowns and the severe fluctuations which have been happening in the Chinese market. And companies which have been looking at China as one of their key markets are now looking to diversify those key markets to other countries. So that is definitely helping our business. This is one of the reasons why we are getting a lot of new products to sell into the country, because of this shift in interest towards India. So this is something that we are hopeful that will help grow our business in the coming year. The other question, again, a very interesting question, is that there are a lot of chemistries and a lot of new developments happening around the world. And if you'll see a very large concept today that people are talking about is sustainability. Now, sustainability, and then the circular economy and the various things that people are talking about. Besides, of course, our acrylamide and polyacrylamide business, although today the acrylamide, polyacrylamide business are generally the raw materials are coming from petrochemical sources. There are now shifts happening in the world where biorenewables or biological sources of raw material are also being developed. So this is an interest area for us. We have been looking at some of these new technologies, new chemistries, to be one step ahead of our peers in this business. Even in our polyacrylamide solid business, in fact, considering the changes in the carbon, the carbon neutral concepts which have been becoming very strong. We have also, earlier we had planned to set up a coal boiler for feeding for the steam in our new plant, but that's also been changed. We are not going to use a coal boiler anymore. We are going to be using agri waste based boilers. We are also now in the process of installing solar rooftops in our factory. The investment is started. The work is starting right now on that. So we are making sure that we stay with the times, and we stay one step ahead of making sure that we are remaining socially responsible, environmentally responsible. So these are the kind of technologies which we are looking at. We're also looking at different fields, for example, chemicals required in the sectors where PLI schemes have been announced, for example, in the EV sector, in the semiconductor sector. A lot of our principals are very active in the chemistry space when it comes to these products. So these are also products and areas where we are keenly currently looking at as a line separate from our current acrylamide chemistries that we're also focusing. So yes, there are a lot of things happening around the world, and working with our principals to identify and look at different areas of synergy for the Indian market. This is what we are actively doing right now. Yeah, I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Dhaval, hope your questions are answered. Dhaval, do you have another question or can we move on?
Yeah, move on, please.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions sent on chat by a participant, Jai Shankar Pure. If I can just take them, Anupji.
Yeah, please.
Why is a very minimal growth in our revenue and profits? Is this mainly from chemical distribution business or chemical manufacturing business?
Okay. So if we split the growth, we've had about in our acrylamide business, we had around 8% growth in sales over the last quarter. And in the polyacrylamide liquid business, we had about 133% rise in sales in the last quarter. So on the manufacturing side, we did have a growth in sales. On the distribution side, we had a dip in sales, largely because of two products which we sold less of. One was metacresol, and that was mainly sold less due to delayed arrivals or change in the lifting schedule of our customers due to the slowdown over here. So in a way, you can say that turnover has been deferred. And on the isophthalic acid side, also the sales had fallen, maybe around 5 crores in the quarter. That was largely because there was a lot of isophthalic acid available in the domestic market, and people who traders, short-term traders, speculators who had got into that product were basically selling it at below cost, and they were selling it below international prices. And we never participate in such type of sales activities. So it was a conscious decision to pull out of the market at that particular time. That's now reversed again. This quarter, it's just the opposite. So now we are again back in the market, back again selling our product. So that's where the reduction came from. In terms of profitability, overall profitability, in terms of percentages, the percentage of distribution profit actually increased, not as a percentage of our total profit, but as a percentage of that business. Our profitability in the distribution business increased, again, largely because we did not sell metacresol as much. And metacresol, whenever we have a higher sale of metacresol, our distribution business percentages fall because the metacresol business we get very low margin of that product. So that's what you have seen. But overall, the profitability, a larger share of our profitability came from the manufacturing business in the last quarter compared to the distribution business.
Jai has shared another question which has a couple of sub-questions, short ones. What is the current market share in acrylamide liquid in India, and what is the growth in acrylamide liquid space? What will happen if we capture the full market share in India? Will we move to exports, and do we have capacity for that currently?
Okay, I think a lot of these questions were covered in our last webinar as well, but I will just update. We have approximately 80 to 90% of the domestic market share, not considering not considering the demand of SNF, which is a captive producer and captive user of the product. So if we don't consider their own captive use, we do have around 80 to 90% of the domestic market share in acrylamide liquid. That is exactly why we are focused always on exports, because the growth that can come from acrylamide can come from the export business. It cannot come from the domestic business so quickly, because the domestic demand is already catered to us at 80 to 90%. So you will see some growth, natural growth happening in industries. A lot of this product goes into the paint industry. So, as you see the Indian industries grow, for example, construction, adhesives, paints, textiles, ceramic tiles. If these industries grow in India, we will see our business also grow along with that. So that is how that works. The additional growth, which will allow us to use 100% of our capacities, will come basically from the export market. And we are focused on that business. We are continuing doing that business. But always, as you know, global situations, pandemics, these things will always have some effect on that business and freight rates as well.
Thank you, Anubji. Jay, I hope your questions have been answered. The next question is from Priyank Chheda. Priyank, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. So I have a few questions on segment-wise. So for distribution business, we used to clock a quarterly revenue of 50 crores every quarter, and which moved on to 75 crores last 2 quarters. I mean, this quarter we had moved on to 60 crores. Is it due to the prices of chemicals going up, and should we assume that this should, in case prices normalize, we should be back to the quarterly run rate of 50 crores?
No, that would not be the correct understanding. We have added a lot of new products and we have added a lot of new volumes. For example, if you see 1 year ago, we were not very active, let's say, in a product as known as isophthalic acid. Today, we are the largest importer of isophthalic acid in India outside of the end user community. So what happens is, with the principal's support and with our team over here, we are continuously bringing in new products and increasing our market share for those products. So this is where the volume growth that is coming in from new products, not necessarily from pricing, because as certain prices will go up, certain prices fall as well. So nothing remains. Nothing is moving in one direction. So the pricing will continuously fluctuate, but the main growth is coming from the addition of products.
Sure. So just wanted to confirm that there is no abnormal price increases in any of the chemicals that we are into the distribution mode in the current quarter results, right?
In the Q3 results, I would not think there are any abnormal price increases in any product. No. Maybe there would be a little bit of an increase on the sale price in acrylonitrile, but that would have happened mostly in the previous quarter before that. So
sure.
Nothing that comes off the top of my head. No.
Sure. That helps. And the second question is on the acrylamide liquid and polyacrylamide liquid realizations that you have mentioned in your slide, but I missed out somehow. If you can help me on the YTD or maybe for the full year, what would be the realizations per kg for acrylamide liquid and polyacrylamide liquid?
You're talking about an average realization for the year?
Yeah.
I don't have an average number worked out right now, but I would say that I can tell you what the current realizations range in this quarter. I would say in this quarter we are looking at a realization of acrylamide of approximately plus minus 105 rupees a kilo.
Okay, that was for acrylamide liquid, and for polyacrylamide liquid?
For polyacrylamide liquid, 30 rupees a kilo.
Okay, because sorry. So these prices have moved on substantially, I guess, from last quarter. Do you think these realizations are sustainable, or this should be, somewhere there needs to be a normalization as China comes back with the capacities and the supply chains get back to normal?
So what happens is the prices of the product fluctuate with the prices of the raw material generally. And sometimes there is a lag in that fluctuation, in that change. Also at the same time, it also depends on the import price parities. Well, not exactly price parity. I'm sorry, import competition pricing. Now, in case of acrylamide liquid, China is not a competitor for us. So there is no question of Chinese prices affecting the acrylamide liquid prices over here, because China does not export acrylamide liquid. So with acrylamide liquid, there is not really much of an import competition. So the prices, we do not expect the prices to fall too much, but we do expect some level of correction. But the correction would be less than the correction in the raw material price.
Sure. So that really helps. Just on the utilizations front for the manufacturing division, for particularly acrylamide, would it be safe to assume that for the full year, we would be around 60-65% kind of levels, and for polyacrylate liquid, which we are ramping up right now, we could be ending up the year somewhere near 40-50% kind of levels?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of numbers we are expecting.
And can you guide us for what the levels that you're looking at for FY23 on the utilizations front?
Yeah, so we expect that to further increase, but again, it would have to depend upon the export demand that we see. We are expecting the acrylamide powder demand to be quite significant in the export market. So we expect to see good growth coming from the acrylamide powder business, especially on the export side. Because acrylamide powder is only made in China, and whoever is buying acrylamide powder outside of China has to import it from China, which means they are already facing the issue of the high freight costs. So whether we export it from India or it's exported from China, the freight cost angle will not be a deterrent in the business, which currently is the case when we talk about acrylamide liquid. There are producers of acrylamide liquid in other parts of the world. For example, in the US has a lot of acrylamide liquid production. So if we want to export to the US, our freight costs make our prices then unworkable in comparison to the local acrylamide liquid prices a customer in US can buy it at. So, but when it comes to acrylamide powder, even the customers in US are importing acrylamide powder from China right now. So there would be a apple-to-apple comparison in that case, which we are very confident to be able to win.
Sure, that's really helpful. Just the last question on acrylamide powder, like you mentioned. Can you confirm what would be what are the realizations that we should think of at the current prices? Would it be rupees 240, 250 rupees per kilo?
No, currently the acrylamide powder prices are approximately have fallen now, so they are approximately 190 rupees a kilo right now.
All right. Thanks a lot for your answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyank.
Thank you.
The next question is from Aman Bridge. Aman, please go ahead. Aman?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, team. My first question is on the acrylamide liquid side. So you have nicely explained what is the issue that we are facing in export market and why we are not able to grow much. So if you can talk about what has been the volume degrowth in our acrylamide liquid business compared to say December last year. December quarter last year.
Okay, so compared to December, if you see our December quarter last year, as has been declared and explained in that quarter's results, in December quarter last year, we ran the plant at almost at 100% capacity because there was a huge order from a oil and gas sector company in India, which required material urgently, and so we were able to run our plant at extremely high capacities to service their needs. So the December quarter last year is actually not a representative quarter to look at. So when we see December 2020 as a quarter, the sale in December 2021 is substantially lower than what it was in December 2020. But the December, like I said, December 2020 was an exceptional circumstance.
So, sir, at what freight cost do you think acrylamide liquid becomes viable to export, and then we can start growing in acrylamide liquid as well? Because freight cost has reduced compared to, but it is still quite up.
Yeah, freight costs have still actually, they've again started to increase in the month of February. Freight costs have again started to move up. They seem to be coming down in December and Jan, but from Feb again, the freight costs have started to go up. This question of yours really depends from country to country because, like I said, a country which is anyway importing acrylamide, liquid or powder, whatever it is, a country where they do not have local production of this product, we are competitive even at today's freight rates. There is no issue there. The issue comes when that country has its own local production, like the US. So that is where we become uncompetitive. So it's not that we are not competitive anywhere. We do export still to more than 10, 12 countries. So it's not that we are not competitive at all in exports.
Sure, sir. And was US an important market for us in earlier years? Because I thought we were still relying on Southeast Asian countries and say Australia, New Zealand, all those countries to export.
Yeah, we still export to the nearby countries, and as far as to Israel, Africa, New Zealand, Australia, all of these areas we do export even now. The US is a market which has a very high demand of acrylamide liquid because the maximum application there is in the oil and gas sector for manufacturing fracking fluids, which are used for the fracking operations. And so each customer's demand there is very, very large. So the US market, even if you have one customer who is from a fracking area, that customer's demand is quite much larger than customers who are in, let's say, the water treatment side or in the paint side or on other sides of the business. So there is a difference in the US market in terms of utilization of capacity. The US is an important market for that.
Sure, sir. Second set of questions is on the polycarboxylate market. So what is the peak sales we can achieve and what kind of utilization are we targeting for FY23?
So currently the product is in R&D. So once the product is ready, and then we will be able to give you better numbers. But we expect we've already taken environmental clearance for the polycarboxylates. I do not have the number in front of me on the capacity that we have registered. But the polycarboxylates market is a market where it is tied together with the ceramic tile market. So anybody who buys binder from us, and even people who don't buy the binder, will still need to buy these polycarboxylates, which are dispersants. So the market actually for the dispersants is actually greater than the market for the ceramic binder. So once we start the operation, once we start selling, if we feel that our capacities are insufficient, we would be looking at increasing our capacities there. I can give you more information in the next quarter on this.
Sure, sir. That will be great. Finally, on the liquid PAM side, so if you can, you had mentioned in the commentary that by mid-February, you can see some demand coming back because the tile industry is facing pressure. So two questions on that side. In terms of number of distributors we now have versus what we had last quarter, if you can some numbers and indication on that, as well as demand, has it come back as per your expectation? Are we gaining market share in spite of maybe demand not there, but our product being better? If you can talk about all those things.
Okay. So first of all, we don't work through distributors. We work direct. Even in acrylamide business, all of our business is direct, except for a very small volume that we sell in Ahmedabad through a particular distributor. But our business of acrylamide, our business of polyacrylamide, our business which we will start for the polycarboxylates or NMA, all of these are direct to end user. We don't deal through local distributors for any of these products. The reason is because we need to hear the customer's voice directly. We need to understand the customer's needs directly. And so this has always been our focus, that we work directly only. So we do not have any growth in number of distributors because we don't have any distributors. We have been able to, if you see in our last performance review, we have in terms of volume, we were able to grow our sales into the ceramic, into the PAM liquid business by 133%. That means more than 2 times. We are able to increase our sales into that sector. There is a slowdown in Morbi right now. January, a lot of shutdowns are there. February, a lot of shutdowns are there. But we are already seeing some of these companies coming back online. So we are expecting March to be a good month where most of the companies will be back online. And March, we should see some good numbers. That is our expectation.
Yeah, sorry, one clarification. Distributor, maybe not the right word to use. Customers, if you can talk about for PAM liquid we have now versus what it was, say, 3 months back.
So like I said, I don't have the number of customers with me right now, but we have been able to more than double our sales volume in terms of quantity. So that would pretty much reflect also the similar growth in the number of customers as well.
And any further update on solid PAM, if you can talk about?
Amar, if you can just keep this as the last question. We have a few more questions to take after this. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the last question only.
Yeah, I think I already said about the polyacrylamide solid. I'll repeat it. But we are going to as we discussed in our last webinar, the R&D work is now full-fledged on for the PAM solid. We're expecting to start construction during this financial year and expecting to complete production and start sales by within FY24. That is the update we have right now. Just to add another information, we have been also augmenting our R&D and the technology team. We are in the process of hiring on a new person who should hopefully join in the next month. We expect with the persons joining, the R&D efforts will be further accelerated. But yeah, we are completely focused on that business.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Aman. Friends, it's been a very interactive session, but somehow we're running out of time. So we'll just take 2 last questions which have been shared on chat. Other participants, I'll share my email ID on chat. I request you to please forward them to me and we'll take it up with the management and get back to you. Question from Raghav Malhotra. He's a student in Delhi Technological University. Since there are no acrylonitrile producers in India, is the company planning to set up a plant for this in future? It has applications also in the production of AM, ABS, acrylic fiber, nitrile rubber, etc. Please.
That's a great question. Acrylonitrile is independently from our business also, acrylonitrile is definitely a good product to manufacture. In India, Reliance used to produce it. Reliance had it was a legacy business which they got from their IPCL takeover. Reliance IPCL at the time had a very small capacity of 30,000 tons a year. The Indian market demand is upward of 200,000 tons a year now. So there is definitely a gap in the market, and there is a good scope for any international player to come into the country and set up a acrylonitrile plant. This is a extremely capital intensive plant. It can cost, anywhere between $300 to $500 million to set up a plant of acrylonitrile. So it is an extremely capital intensive project. But yes, it is a project that somebody should look at doing in this country, because we do need acrylonitrile. It's used in ABS, it's used in acrylic fiber, it's used in acrylamide, it's used in nitrile rubber, like all of those areas. So yeah, it's something that would be very interesting if somebody did set up a plant to do that in India.
I hope your question has been answered, Raghav. And the last question for the afternoon is from Tejas Dongre. As discussed in the investor meet last time, our product PAM liquid was sent for approvals in UP Sikandrabad ceramic tile plant. What was the response from their side? Were we able to convert them as a client? Any update on PAM liquid CEO?
Sorry, what's the last part you said?
The new grade.
Oh, acha. Okay, the new grade. Okay. Yes. Yeah, so good question. The plant in UP, yes, the product was approved. I do not know what is the exact status of that particular customer right now. I will have to come back and I will have to check and come back to you on that. But I do remember the product was approved. That plant also may be suffering right now due to this slowdown in the tile sector. So I'm going to have to check on the current status on that. So I will come back to you on that separately. The other question was about the Brilbine CE02. That product development is still ongoing. We have not been able to find the exact right formulation that we want for this improved grade yet. We don't want to come up with multiple grades. So we are also trying to optimize everything in this new product that we want to do. So there are still some areas which require improvements. We are working on it, and the R&D is ongoing for that. But our current product is being accepted at the plants. So business is going on with the current product. Yes, if we have a further improved product, that will help us to increase our market share even faster.
Thank you, Anupji. I see a few more hands raised, but as I said, we're running out of time. I've shared my email ID on the chat. Request you to please share your questions. We'll take it up with the management and get back to you.
I'm okay for a couple more questions if you are.
Okay. Sure. Ankit Babel, your hand is raised. Please go ahead. Ankit?
Yeah. Sir, a couple of things. This PAM solid project, what is the total capex envisaged for this and the revenue potential in this project?
The capex envisaged is 60 crores, and the revenue potential we have mentioned earlier is 200 crores.
Okay. And sir, second was just a follow-up from earlier conference calls and discussion. Now, going back to your 650 crore revenue guidance, now I understand there have been subsequent COVID waves and disruptions and delays in capacity expansion, but at the same time, new products were introduced. So what is the revised estimates and revised timelines on your overall company's revenue and profitability in the couple of years from now
on? I think we are still on track to do numbers which would be close to that. with our increasing businesses in the NMA and the polyacrylamide and the acrylamide powder and all of these products. Plus our distribution business has also been growing. So if you see this year already we have crossed on a standalone basis, we've already crossed what we've done last year. On a consolidated basis, we've crossed already 350 crores in this until December. So I think we're still on track to meet a large part of what we've discussed in the past, because after that number was given, we have in fact added other products which were not part of that calculation. So I don't see that to be I think we're getting close to that number.
But which year, sir?
By FY24, FY24, yes.
Okay, and the profitability overall company?
I cannot really tell you what a profit will be. You'll have to make your own estimations on that.
Okay, and the 650 definitely is on a standalone basis. You are not including the VR chemical sales, yeah?
No, I'm not including VR chemicals.
That's helpful, sir. Thank you so much. And sir, sorry, sir, just one thing. The 60 crore capex for PAM solid, how are you going to fund it? Would it be through internal accruals plus debt or some equity raising also?
Yeah, there are a lot of options, but as you know, we have, since we've spoken about this PAM solid, our reserves and our net worth has been growing. So we do have substantial funds available internally as well. So yeah, wherever there is a gap, we would look at either taking borrowings from the bank. We do have also other projects in mind. We have other businesses in mind, which we are also looking at. So there may also be a fundraise or something that may happen in the future based on that. But primarily just for the PAM solid, business, we may not require to raise too many funds.
Okay, that's it, sir. And just lastly, one again request to expedite the process of NSE listing, sir.
Yeah, that's not possible unless you have a 75 crore plus net worth for minimum 3 years. So it's not something I can expedite. We are of course already over 75 crores, but we still have to wait for that period of time before we can list on the NSE.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ankit. A follow-up question from Nitya Shah. Nitya, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I haven't raised my hand or anything.
Okay, fine.
Accidentally.
No worries. The Rajesh Jain, do you have a follow-up question? Your hand is raised.
Yes, I have 2-3 questions. Can I ask?
Please go ahead.
Sir, just going ahead with what I was left last, regarding the space part. So what you had told in the earlier calls of that these are all specialty chemicals. In case if there is a need arises to increase the capacity, you can do in the existing plant only by increasing the size of the reactor. So that's what I just wanted a confirmation that you may not require any land for future increase in capacity of these product. Is that assessment is right?
On the acrylamide chemistry and acrylamide related products, that is our plan. Yes.
Okay, very fair enough. Sir, regarding the acrylamide solid, you had given some time in your investor presentation that the local demand is 10,000 metric ton per annum. But whereas you are saying there is a lot of US customers looking for this product. So 2 questions on this. What is the global demand for this product? And how much acrylamide liquid is required to make 1 kg or 1 metric ton of this product?
Okay, so for acrylamide solid, the local demand in India is around 3,000 tons approximately in India, the local demand for acrylamide solid. Okay, not 10,000 tons for acrylamide solid.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that 10,000 tons is the figure which is the local demand for acrylamide liquid in India.
Okay. Okay.
So acrylamide solid is about 3,000 tons. And sorry, what was the other question you had?
The global demand, sir.
So the global demand for acrylamide solid is difficult to pinpoint, but we're expecting it to be even if we look at the what's the word? The mapped demand that we have right now.
Okay.
Internationally, we see a mapped demand of around 10,000 tons per year of solid. But once we are actually marketing the product and once we are active in that business, we will come to know more details on that. But it's definitely more than 10,000 tons. That is our assessment.
Okay.
The international demand for acrylamide powder, acrylamide solid.
Okay. And how much is required, sir, acrylamide liquid to make this?
So acrylamide liquid is a 50% solution. So you need 2 kg of acrylamide liquid to make 1 kg of acrylamide solid.
Okay. See, why I was asking this question is in the presentation you keep mentioning about some capacity of acrylamide liquid like 20,000 is for sales and 12,000 metric ton for the captive consumption. Is there any difference in the specification of these two products or anything? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I lost you there. Is there any difference?
In the specification of these two products?
Specification means one is a liquid, one is a solid. That
No,
is
sir,
the difference.
not between the liquid and the solid. What I was asking is the capacity of acrylamide liquid. It is always mentioned in the presentation as 20,000 metric ton per annum for sales and another 12,000 for the captive consumption. So I'm only asking the difference between these two products.
No, that's the same. It's the same product. There is no difference.
No difference. Okay. Sir, the last question is about the solid. I'm not asking about when and what capacity and all. PAM solid. The way you are saying, it's only a delay is there, but you are very confident of getting through this product in the R&D pilot and then commissioning of the project, and then so there is no doubt about the commissioning of this project, correct?
Sorry, your voice has been cracking. There is something wrong with our internet connection. Can you repeat what you said again, please?
Sir, you have already given in a detailed timeline of the the project of this PAM solid.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Rajesh,
No,
just
your
1
voice
second,
is,
please. There is a connectivity issue. Can you hold on, Rajesh?
Yeah.
Anupji, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Rajesh, please go ahead with your last question.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. No, what I was asking is about the PAM solid project. There has been delay for some R&D work and other things. You've already given a detailed timeline of how, when this project will come on stream and all. So what I'm trying to ask you is, one, there is no doubt about the successful of commissioning of this project.
For the PAM solid?
Yes.
Doubt in what sense?
Whether we'll be able to, get through this in the R&D pilot project, all the process, everything, and then, graduating over to the, project, the plant level capacity and all that.
No, I mean, we are basically, that is what we are doing the R&D for, because we do not want to set up a plant which will not work. So that is exactly why we are doing the R&D, and that is exactly why we are working hard for that. But yes, once it is through the R&D stage, we will be setting up the plant. We don't have any doubt about whether we are going to set up a plant or not, if that is your question. Because if we have a doubt about the technology, then we would not set up the plant to begin with, because that would be a very expensive mistake to make. But yeah, once everything is ready, we will set up the plant, and we are sure about that.
Okay. So the second, in case if
Rajesh,
you have,
if we can just keep this as the last question.
Last question. Yes. My
follow-up
last question.
questions, please mail them to me and I'll take them up with Anupji.
Done. No problem. The follow-up is, sir, for this product, if you can share, in case if you have, the one is the global demand for this product. And secondly, sir, once we start exporting this product to our customers in US, who I believe are currently taking acrylamide from us to make polyacrylamide at their end, will our sales of acrylamide would come down?
No. Polyacrylamide solids manufacturing is not the same as polyacrylamide liquids manufacturing. So our customers who buy acrylamide from us in the US are making polyacrylamide liquids, but they are not making polyacrylamide solids.
Okay.
So they currently import polyacrylamide solids from China and from Europe and from other sources.
Okay.
But different market for polyacrylamide solids as compared to the market for polyacrylamide liquids.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, our customers in the US who are buying acrylamide are eager and awaiting for our polyacrylamide solids to start.
Okay. Any numbers, sir, you could give us about the demand?
The demand is very large. Our plant, if we are only looking at our plant of 10,000 tons, is smaller than a baby plant for acrylamide for a polyacrylamide solid plant. Typically, polyacrylamide solid plants are 50 to 60,000 tons plants. So our plant of 10,000 tons is really very small. It's not a large plant, and that is why we are not going to be entering certain sectors where single customers can pick up that entire production. So we are going to be focusing more on the niche areas, more on the value-added areas where we can focus on better profitability and better service requirements. So that is going to be our strategy with the polyacrylamide solid business. So the profitability and marketing and focusing on those areas where we can get better margins, that is going to be our focus for that business in the first phase. In the second phase, as we expand our production, then we will start going in for more of these bulky businesses where the margins will be low, but the volumes will be very high. So these are all part of our long-term strategies. But our initial plan is to focus on the niche areas where we can get better realizations. So that with that additional cash, with that additional funds, we can further invest and further grow the business.
Thank you, Rajesh. The last question is from Aman Vij. Aman, please go ahead.
So just one question on acrylamide solid. So you have talked about there are acrylamide liquid facilities all across the world, but not acrylamide solid. So if you can explain what is the reason. And then secondly, if the global demand is 10,000 tons, mostly US, I'm assuming, and they are already importing from China. So what gives us confidence that we will be able to take that market share? Is it a lower price product? Is it a better product? If you can talk about this thing.
I think the last part of your question is not something I really need to answer. You will know that people are all trying to move away from Chinese sources. And today, if you have 100% of your sourcing dependent upon China, anybody would like to, any reasonably minded company would like to de-risk their business and look at an alternate source as well. They may not shift entirely to us, but they would, any reasonably minded company would look at shifting part of their supply chain to a non-Chinese source, which is happening around the world, which you would be aware of. It's happening in India, it's happening in various places. In India, still people are more price conscious. They talk more, they will move less. But in other countries, that's not the case. People do look at supply chain risk and supply chain security as a very important factor, because most of these customers that we will be working with are multinationals. They're not small companies. So the reason for them to shift, of course, we will of course have to remain price competitive. We will of course have to remain quality competitive. So all of that is a given. We don't expect somebody to pay us more just because we are making a product in India. So that is we would not have entered this line of business if we did not understand that basic dynamics of where we will sell the product. So that's not an issue at all. The reason with acrylamide liquid, it's not that they are everywhere. There are very few countries where even acrylamide liquid is produced. But the US is a big market, and that's what I was talking about in particular. So the acrylamide liquid in South Asia, we and of course the other companies, SNF, which is a captive consumer. So we are the only companies in South Asia. In Southeast Asia, there is one more company which is in Indonesia. Then there are a couple of companies in Korea, which again, most of them are captively consuming it. Then you have 2 companies in Japan, and in China, of course, there are many companies which make acrylamide. But in all of Asia, this is it. There is no other producer of acrylamide liquid or solid. It's just these few. So it's not that they're everywhere. In Europe, there is again just one company manufacturing. Well, there are 2 companies manufacturing acrylamide liquid in Europe. Africa, nobody's there. Australia, there is one company, but again, they're a captive consumer. That's it. So it's not like it's everywhere. But my main focus, which I'm telling you, is about the US market. That yes, US market is a big consumer, and they do have a lot of acrylamide locally available there.
So there are no plants in US specifically. That is what you are talking about.
No, US, of course there is. US, there are plants. That's what I'm saying. That US, there are plants, and US is one of the markets which we want to sell to.
Yeah, US you have talked about acrylamide liquid plants are there, so they will have demand for acrylamide solid. Is this understanding correct?
No.
Or PAM liquid, sorry, not acrylamide liquid.
PAM liquid is produced all over the world for different applications. So PAM liquid, you will see people producing it in Dubai, you will see people producing it in Egypt, you'll see people producing it in Lebanon, you'll see people producing it all over the world, PAM liquid. So I'm not sure what your question is. Are you asking to know where PAM liquid is produced, or do you want to know where acrylamide liquid is produced?
Yeah, my question is those who are producing acrylamide liquid, there are not maybe many, but there are still 8-10 players. And you have talked about US importing acrylamide powder only from China. So why are not the other players trying to export to US? Is it because they are mostly using it for captive consumption, or there any other hindrance in terms of technology to provide acrylamide powder as well? Like we have provided acrylamide powder, being an acrylamide liquid player, why can't the other players do the same and cater to that US market? This is the question.
So that's a question you'll have to ask those players. But the fact is that nobody else in the world produces acrylamide powder except for Chinese producers. So that is the thing, because if the total world demand of acrylamide powder is, let's say, 10,000 tons, it's not something large enough for maybe 5 people in other countries also to get into. I'm not even talking about the Chinese demand. In China, domestically, there is a huge demand of acrylamide powder. But the other markets where acrylamide powder is used, it's used even in Japan, people use acrylamide powder. Even in US, people use acrylamide powder. They use it everywhere. But none of the other acrylamide liquid producers have the technology to produce acrylamide powder. You see, SNF is one of the largest producers of acrylamide liquid. They do not have the technology to produce acrylamide powder, or at least they do not produce acrylamide powder in any other country because it's too small a business for them. They are not an acrylamide. They are not an acrylamide business player. They are a polyacrylamide business player. Acrylamide is a raw material. A lot of the producers of acrylamide around the world produce it for their captive consumption. You see, the merchant sales of acrylamide take place only by a very limited number of companies around the world. One is us, then there's the guy in Indonesia, then there are some Japanese producers who once in a while export, and that's about it. So how to explain? Acrylamide powder is not made by none of these other players because it's not required for their own captive consumption, is what I would say. That would be the easiest way to say it. Like, for example, even we do not require acrylamide powder for our captive consumption. We can use acrylamide.
Sure, sir. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Aman. That was the last question for the afternoon. On behalf of all of us at SKP, thank you very much, Anupji and Amrishji, for taking all the questions from our investors and shareholders. We look forward to hosting you again in the next quarter. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and be well, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you. Anupji, best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you and bye-bye.